Okay, we are back with our Bible study, quarantine coronavirus Bible study. So this is now still in the book of Job, chapter 4. Then Eliphaz, the Temanite, replied, "If someone ventures a word with you, will you be impatient? But who can keep from speaking? Think how you have instructed many, how you have strengthened feeble hands. Your words have supported those who stumbled. You have strengthened faltering knees. But now trouble comes to you, and you are discouraged. It strikes you, and you are dismayed. Should not your piety be your confidence, and your blameless ways your hope? Consider now, who being innocent has ever perished? Where were the upright ever destroyed? As I have observed, those who plow evil and those who sow trouble reap it. At the breath of God they are destroyed. At the blast of his anger they perish. The lions may roar and growl, yet the teeth of the great lions are broken. The lion perishes for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness are scattered." Wow. That's something to think about when you watch Tiger King and all those narcissists running around on that show. You play with lions, you might get eaten. Duh. A word was secretly brought to me. My ears caught a whisper of it. Amid disquieting dreams in the night, when deep sleep falls on men, fear and trembling seized me and made all my bones shake. I've had night terrors before. A spirit glided past my face, and the hair on my body stood on end. I've had that feeling before too, yep, especially when one guy was standing outside by a lamppost and told me he was going to let me walk in front of him because he liked watching pretty girls walk. That was creepy. And then he tried to follow me to my van, and I locked the door and drove off before, he could do anything. That was a creepy creepo. So you got to be careful. There are some creepy creepos out there. Anyways, a spirit glided past my face and my hair, and the hair on my body stood on end. It stopped, but I could not tell what it was. A form stood before my eyes, and I heard a hushed voice. "Can a mortal be more righteous than God? Can a man be more pure than his Maker? If God places no trusts in his servants, if he charges his angels with error, how much more those who live in houses of clay, whose foundations are in the dust, who are crushed more readily than a moth? Between dawn and dusk they are broken to pieces. Unnoticed, they perish forever. Are not the cords of their tent pulled up so that they die without wisdom?" Wow, that's a heavy chapter right there. Now, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so I have a question I asked my atheist friend who doesn't believe in any of this boo hockey. He doesn't believe there is a God, obviously. And so I tell him, well, maybe there is a God. All you have to do is go look in the mirror. Anyways, everybody dies in the end. It's just how you're going to go. And can you be more pure than your Maker? Well, yes, because to the pure, all things are pure, and to the evil, all things are evil. So all judgment is self-judgment. If you call me abusive, go look in the mirror. If you call me stupid, go look in the mirror. If you call me a name, go look in the mirror. I'm pretty certain I've never killed a human being. Pretty certain. Pretty goddamn, yeah, absolutely, pretty definitely certain I've never killed a human being. I know some people who have. And it's sad. And I'm pretty certain I've never raped a human being. And I know some people who have. I've been raped. But I know some men who have been raped too. Ask my ex-husband. He'll tell you all about it. And I'm pretty certain that I've never broken into a house and robbed a house. I'm pretty certain I've never done that. No, that's not in me. I do my best to keep the people around me safe, especially little kids. But sometimes little kids grow up and they stop listening. Or sometimes moms get busy and they stop being good moms. Sometimes moms get really angry and they could be loud and screaming moms. Yep. And sometimes sisters can scream too, and brothers can scream, and brothers can pick on younger siblings, and big siblings can pick on little siblings. That happens a lot. And sometimes if a little sibling starts to believe everything the big siblings say, then it is possible, if families aren't careful, that the sibling that gets picked on could keep a lot of heartache on the inside of their head, and it won't come out until later. And then they'll play those tapes over and over and over until they believe them. And they might not be true. So I have 8 children, and I have caught them picking on their youngest sibling, my little boy, who's a beautiful little boy. All my kids are beautiful. But my kids can be abusive towards each other. And if they're continuing to do that, they better stop it. Just stop it. That's my Bible message right there. Just stop it. My daughters don't want to be anything at all like me. Well, that's what they say. Unfortunately, they did inherit some of my DNA. And they're already a lot like me. They just might not be able to see it yet. They could do worse. Yeah, they could do worse. They could do a whole lot better, but they could do worse. Yep. Anyways, that was chapter 4. We're living in a time right now where there's mass graves going on to bury the people that are unclaimed bodies. Angels can make mistakes. God places no trust in his servants. If he charges his angels with error, how much more those who live in houses of clay, whose foundation are in the dust. This is a clay body made out of dirt. It'll get turned back into dust someday. Like my first wedding song, Another One Bites the Dust. Humans actually can be crushed more readily than a moth. Humans are very vulnerable to death. Especially, you know, if you play with lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. If you sow trouble, you'll reap it. I've sown a lot of trouble in my life. You don't want to plow evil. You're supposed to plow your garden and plant seeds. You don't want to plow poisonous plants in your garden. You don't want to do that. Yep. So if you are a perfect person who can do no wrong, then you should have lots of confidence in your godliness. And if you do sin, like gambling is a sin, and smoking is a sin, drinking is a sin, the 7 deadly sins. If you're vain, that's a sin. If you are, if you do a boob job, that's a sin. If you put makeup on, that's a sin. Anything vain is a sin. And let's see what else. If you have sex outside of marriage, that's a sin. If you ever think any lustful thoughts, that's a sin. If you say a cuss word, that's a sin. If you go outside of the house without a mask on, that's a sin. If you rape anyone like your wife or anyone else, that's a sin. If you dance and look sexy, that's a sin. If you wear any sexy clothes, that's a sin. If you are a creative writer, that's a sin. If you tell stories, that's a sin. If you ever, you know, I don't know, I have a friend that helped clean up her friend's house, but she dumped out her friend's vodka, but then hid some of it in a water bottle in the fridge and then took it on a train ride and then had sex with a stranger, and that was a sin. Stealing from your friends is a sin. Let's see, what else is a sin? There's lots of sins. President Trump is a sin. His wife Melania posed naked so everyone's seen her hoochie coochie. That's a sin. Stripping is a sin. Putting butt plugs in your butt is a sin. Having any kind of sex toys is a sin. Spitting on the sidewalk is a sin. Pushing a live moose out of an airplane is a sin. I've got a book that tells me all sorts of laws in different states that are sins. It's a sin to have sex in any position other than the missionary position. That's a sin. You probably shouldn't even have sex in that position either, because going on a mission trip is a sin, especially if you stop at Disneyland. Having fun at Disneyland is a sin. Everything you do in life is bad. It's just bad. So just stop it. Don't have any fun at all. Otherwise, you'll sin. And if you drink, you can't gamble and drink at the same time in front of children. That's a sin. You can gamble in front of kids without drinking, or you can drink if nobody cares, but you can't drink too much. And, you know, don't take a nap. You can't take a nap. That's a sin. Taking a nap is a sin. And you can't trust a babysitter, so don't trust babysitters, those, because they could hurt your kids. So you just don't. And don't take them to church either. They'll, you know, get possibly molested or talked something wrong. So the Bible's full of bad stuff. And reading the Bible is, you know, makes me wiser. And it's one of the raciest books you'll ever read, because it's full of sin. It's got sin in it. And God, there's bad people in this Bible. And God created all of them in his image. So God created sinners. You know, just, you're sinful. You should all go home and just wallow in how horrible, rotten people you are. You're just, oh, God, you're just horrible. You're horrible, rotten people. I mean, every woman is a slut. Every woman is a slut. Your grandmother is a slut. She's a quaint slut. She's probably very nice and everything, but she's still probably, you got here somehow. She, you know, probably, if she ever went to a bingo hall, she probably put money in a slut machine. And Wonder Woman is a slut. Look how she dresses. And, you know, Spider-Woman. And then, who likes spiders? Spiders are sinful. They're demons. Spiders are demons. And let's see what else. And then people, gluttony's a sin. You eat too much and you get fat. That's just a sin. I don't care what kind of medical condition you want to explain away for. What's your excuse for being who you are? I don't know why you are, and why you even, I mean, any of you guys, where'd you come from? God, you guys all are just weirdos. There's just a bunch of aliens all over this earth. And believing in aliens is a sin. And going to the moon is a sin. And just stop it. Stop it and stay home. Just stop it. Just stop and don't talk. Talking's a sin. Just shut the fuck up and just be quiet, and sit down, shut up and be quiet and look pretty. And just be happy if you get a mint, you know. God, when I was a kid, I had to sit on a hard bench and listen to sermons that were boring all my life. And so doing anything fun was just, you know, I felt guilty having a cup of coffee. That's a sin. Don't drink coffee. Coffee's a sin. And don't eat shrimp. That's a sin. It's an unclean meat. And don't be short. I don't know why God doesn't like short people, but don't be a shorty. And don't come up short. And do what you say you're going to do, because if you don't follow through on your word, that's a sin. And if you're going to get married, you better be faithful to your wife. And if not, you better be in an open marriage, and it better be pagan, and you better have everything up front, and otherwise you're an adulterer. And if you get divorced, you're automatically an adulterer. And I know all about being the perfect Madonna, and then you get knocked down off the pedestal and you become a whore. It's called the Madonna whore complex. And then if you let everybody blame you for everything and you become a scapegoat, then you asked for it. So if you want to be a scapegoat, be a scapegoat. Be a black sheep, I guess. And oh yes, and riding on a Harley Davidson bike is a sin, and getting tattoos is a sin, and eating clam chowder is a sin, because that's clammy. Don't have clammy anything. Don't be sweaty and clammy. That's, ugh. And let's see, what else? God, I should probably get a job as a vice police. That's an idea. I could be a vice police. I could be the vice police and just police everything. And I've got lots of practice in being saturated in the Old Testament with all the laws you got to keep and the things you can't say and do and think. Don't say Jiminy Crickets. You can't say Jiminy Crickets or fiddlesticks, because that's a sin. It's the same as a cuss word. And you can't cuss. No cussing. Don't think about cussing. And then when you have sex, when you're married, when you have sex, you better be thinking about Jesus. While the time you're having sex, you better be thinking about Jesus while you're having sex with your husband or your wife. Yes, or your partner. Unless you're in a, and then of course, you got these KKK people that anybody that doesn't look like them is, just, they shouldn't exist because they've got issues. They want everyone to be white, pasty, blech, and short hair, blech, and want to go back to a black and white existence of gray, bleh. Everything would be depressing. Yeah, but don't be depressed. Being depressed is a sin. Stop it. Stop it. And not honoring your mother and father, that's a sin. So honor your mother and father, even if you don't like them. So just still honor them, because they're the ones that got you here. And let's see, don't play in chicken shit. That's a sin. And don't climb trees. And don't run out into don't play in the street. And God, I could just sit all day long telling you what not to do. Just don't do anything. Just stop. Just stop it. Talk to the hand. Stop it. Talk to the hand. Talk to the hand. And don't use the bird finger. Don't do that. That's naughty. Even though it's just a finger that some God created, I guess. But don't do that. Don't do that to police officers. No, that'll get you arrested. Yes. And don't be disrespectful to police officers, because even if they're abusive, they can kill you, or they could rape you and get away with it. If they're evil police officers. There are some evil police officers out there. Yes, there are. I know these things. My ex-husband played basketball with them. And don't call people's private body parts names. No, don't do that. And if you watch a movie, don't watch movies. Those are sinful. Don't laugh at them. Don't laugh at any comedy ever, because it's not funny. It's just not funny. And if you're laughing at me, stop it. Just don't laugh at me, because I'm already used to being laughed at and ridiculed. So now I guess I like it, because what else do I have left to do? So you can laugh at me all you want, because I guess I'm a comedian. Yeah, I'm a fool. I've been called a, yep, I'm a fool. I'm a satirist. And that's the most foolish thing you could ever do, is become a satirist and write satire. And don't go to the University of Oregon and get a degree in English, because then you will probably not have any friends or family members. And don't drink, especially drink and drive. Don't do that. And don't take drugs. I don't care if my psychology teacher thinks that cocaine is a miracle drug, and another person I know says it won't kill you. Cocaine will kill you. And don't go swimming, because you could drown. And don't remove doors off of teenage bedrooms if your teenager doesn't want to clean her room. And if she locks you out on the roof, then just sit there and wait for Jesus to rescue you. But do not try to remove doors off of teenagers' bedrooms, because that won't go over well. And then you might be accused of aiming for their head. Ah, that's fun. That's always a fun one. And if you can't handle the heat, get the fuck out of the kitchen. And if you can't handle parenting, don't become one. It's not for the faint of heart.